Let's get started. First of all, some of you are here because you were just intrigued by what does that even mean? Tips and tricks of a thriving club, and what is a thriving club, and how many do we have, and what can we learn from them? Well, right now, if I look on the Founders District dashboard for how our district is doing, we've already got 17 clubs that have achieved distinguished or better. In fact, we have 10 clubs that achieved President's Distinguished status already. And the interesting thing is that these clubs grew their membership, not just maintained their membership, actually grew their membership in this crazy pandemic year. And that's quite amazing. And talking to these clubs, the officers in the clubs are not holding these tight to their vest like secrets. They want to share what they've learned and the tips and tricks that can help all the clubs in our district be successful. And if there was ever a time to do that, it's right now, because we're at almost the end of April. And the end of April means there's only 2 more months to be able to have our efforts toward improving our club status by the end of June, which is the end of the Toastmaster year. And we have a lot of fun with that at the end of the Toastmaster year because we get a little competitive. You know, we want our club to be the best club, and we want to be up there on the dashboard of success that Julie puts out a very nice PR blast of congratulations, all distinguished clubs, and it lists all the names, and we all get a little enthused by that when we see our club name up there. So I've got some people from clubs, officers in those clubs today who have been very successful this year. And I want to be able to share what they did, how they became successful, and what we could all learn from that. And I also know that besides our 5 presenters today, I'm looking at a number of faces in the audience who are also members of very successful clubs. And you might have tips and tricks. In fact, I'm going to give you a little preview. There will be a little bit of an audience participation section here where I will ask you to come forward with your club's unique tips and tricks. And the first 6 people that come up with a unique tip or trick that we have not heard yet will get a prize. I have 6 copies of 25 ways to make your good club great. And it's a wonderful book written by Cindy Carpenter, and Lori has that book and is displaying it in her Zoom screen. So take a look at that. And it's a wonderful book compiled by Cindy when she was practicing, I believe, for a speech contest and visiting 100 clubs in Founders District. And when she did that, she found out that from each club that she went to, she learned some new great tricks that that club had, and that was their recipe for success. So this, in addition to what our presenters will share today, and what our audience members with their tips and tricks in the chat will share today, will give you a lot of fuel to make your own club President's Distinguished this year. I have a speaker here who you will recognize. You've seen her face a lot. Lori Shapiro. And I want to tell you that Lori has written a wonderful introduction for me. So
I thought you wrote it.
I have it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You didn't write it for me. It sounded so good.
Oh, well, Lori, our immediate past district director, will be completing 7 years consecutive district leadership this June. That is quite a commitment, Lori. And she's learned many tips and tricks along her leadership journey and has put together her top 10. Well, with the bonus tip that's in there, this is actually the top 11 best tricks of successful clubs. And tonight she'll be highlighting these ideas and will offer a deeper dive into this topic. If you get so excited that you want to hear more, it will be offered at LACE in June. So help me welcome Lori Shapiro, today's top 10 tip master. And Lori, I will put your handout in the chat. Oh,
Okay,
it's in there.
I did it already.
You already did it. Great.
I'm putting my hand out. All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for coming tonight. I would love to see this place packed with 100 people or more, but you are going to get some of my favorite tips and tricks. Over the 7 years of leadership, I have found a lot of good places to look for data and ways to make you more effective as a club leader. So, number 10 on our top 10 list is read the Toastmasters leader letters. So for all of those of you who have served as a district leader in the past, and I can't see you all now because I've got the screen sharing. So I would like you to at least, like wave your hand or, put up one of those thumbs ups in the, one of the little responses. So that would be great. So I'm going to be reading some of the information on here. I only have 10 minutes, so like 1 minute a slide. I'm probably already behind. But read these leader letters. Here they are. They come out every month by Toastmasters. One for district leaders. If you're an area director or a district leader of any type, you get that one. And then also if you're a club leader, a secretary, a president, all of them, all 7 officers, you are able to get one of these. And if I just had one to click on, you could actually go out. I guess you're not going to see it because I didn't share the screen. You just see a black screen, right? So anyway, it's got club news. It's got actions to take, deadlines, articles. They're wonderful. So make sure you read your leader letters. And number 9. Top tips: hold quarterly open houses. The successful clubs have a lot of action around getting new members in. Do you realize that 40% of our members go by every year? Every year. That's why we have to add 8 members for each club every year. And 2 to 3 new members per quarter will get you there. So make sure you set up on your club calendar to have an open house. Make them fun, make them creative. Obviously, if it's Zoom, make sure you register. Get the name, their email, and their phone number too of all your guests. If you have them pre-register, all that information plus everybody who attended will be in that Zoom. I can show you if you come to LASO where on Zoom you would be able to look and see who attended a meeting and all their contact information, so you can download everything. Make the meetings fun, have a fun theme, have a funny hat theme, or you could have, kind of like everybody's wearing red, or you could just do all kinds of things. You can have a backwards meeting, which means you start with the evaluations first, and then you go all the way the other way to the speeches. Sounds crazy, but it happens, and it's a lot of fun. Make sure at the end of your open house that you ask for them to join your club. I went to a meeting, an open house. They had 11. I didn't have enough fingers for it. 11 guests. They never asked for anyone to join their club. Post the membership form on your chat and ask the guests either to come back to another meeting or to join. Tell them how much it costs and get them in. Number 8, assign new members a mentor. How many of your clubs do that? It's very few. I've been to a lot of club meetings. Bob does at Irvine Project Masters. John at probably the Century Club. Is that the one that does the mentors? You're in a few clubs, John. Achievers. Well, that's because they're achievers. How many years has Achievers been President's Distinguished, John?
20 plus. It
23.
varies.
23. What do you mean it varies? It goes up
It
every
changes every year.
this year. It varies. 15 one year and 2 the next. I don't know. So help members are able to help your members be successful, and it makes them feel part of the club. You get to help them get in their first, like make their path, decide on which path they want to take. They'll ask you, what do you think? You probably should steer them towards presentation mastery if they're all very new to Toastmasters, and help them get their icebreaker set up right away. Okay. Number 7, read the Toastmasters promise after voting in a new member during your open house a couple times a year. It's here, it's on every application form. I highly recommend that you read it frequently. We were reading it at our deck meetings. It's a wonderful promise. It makes everybody feel part of the club and welcome, and it gets them to commit to participating in the club and not just sitting back and taking timer every single time there's a meeting. Get active and then help them figure out how to achieve in Toastmasters. Number 6, complete the moments of truth annually. We used to actually give away the moment of truth binders, packets with a folder that every member would assess the club around their first impression as a guest. Were they welcomed? Were they asked to introduce themselves? Were they asked how they liked the meeting? Those types of things. Membership orientation. Do you have a new member orientation? You should have something like that. And then fellowship, variety communication. Is it fun? Do people feel part of and not like you're a clique that they're outside of? And so it's important. It's nice to have a lot of camaraderie, which we do at a lot of clubs, but invite and include the guests to participate in that so they don't feel like they're missing out. Have some good programs, have theme meetings, have a good word of the day that goes with the theme. Work on your membership strength with the open house that I chatted about. And like achievers, work on achievement and recognize, and we'll have another slide for your recognition. So all these things in moments of truth will be assessed by all your members. How's your club doing? If you're losing members and people aren't joining when they come as a guest, seems like you need to do a moment of truth. Okay. Does anybody, if you want to pipe in, if you wanted, how successful have you been with a moment of truth? Anybody have any commentary? If not, that's okay. All right.
I have one suggestion about moments of truth. It could take an hour, but you could divide it into 6 pieces and do like 10 minutes a meeting.
That's great. We used to have those Sunday learning labs, and you could have used a room and learning lab to have your club members come. But it's best to do it when everybody's there. And as we talked a second ago, member recognition. Use the ribbons. Make sure, like if somebody's doing their icebreaker, give them a standing ovation or a sitting ovation, but give them recognition. There's actually a icebreaker ribbon to give them. There's a first time ribbon, first time they speak in table topics. Make sure that you have maybe a 2, 3, 4 minute slice of time on your agenda for recognition. Who just earned? I earned 2 DTMs, and at my clubs, I don't really remember having, too much big of a deal. It would be nice to have something like that. Okay.
Achievers has an entire meeting to recognize.
All right. Awesome. We're running out of time, John. Sorry. Okay. Number 4 tip. We're counting down, but thanks. I know Achievers has a lot of good things. So, extra Pathways resources. We have a Pathways team, and we have Charlotte Drake's website. If you've never been to this, come back here. If you've never been to the website, charlottedrake.com, you've got to go and check it out. It's wonderful. Okay. Number 3, and the timer just went away. Okay. Officer succession planning. Hold on, let me find Jean. I don't know where she went. Jean, where are you? Here you go. Okay, let me pin Jean. Pin Jean. Okay. Now I could go back here. Okay. Okay, cool. So officer succession planning. What is that? That's a real something new for most clubs, is make sure the same person's not present all the time, or treasurer, or any other officer. Make sure you rotate through these officer positions so everybody gets a chance, even if they're brand new. They could be a president, a VP of membership, but we started a new club and we were able to incorporate all the new people and shift it around. So make sure you are lining up people for each role before you do elections, so they have a little chance of seeing how it goes. Okay. Number 2, Toastmasters Club dashboard. If you've not seen it, that would be a shock to me, but you go to dashboards.toastmasters.org. You put your club number in that little red box. I put 1, I get Smedley. They're at 25 members out of 22 starting. This is how many they start with. Let's see. This is how many. Oh, I'm trying to. There we go. I can't mute Christy Matola. Wow. How is that possible? Okay, there she is. Okay. So this is your base, 22, 25 to date and required for a DCP point for membership is 20. This is how many goals they've met already, 10. They've already achieved President's Distinguished and they got the last one. So become familiar with your dashboard. And finally, this will take a whole hour just in itself to show you around my.founders district website. This is the landing page. Go to my.foundersdistrict.org. And if you've never logged in, you've got to register first and then you can log in. It's amazing. There are more. I will show you this at least for sure. Club contact information, membership officer list, your club achievements, member achievements. You can see who's achieved whatever pathways level and if they've achieved other any other things that they've been working on. Distinguished club status. You can even see as a club president the past area visit reports. It's amazing. Thank you, Dan Cossack. This is his little baby that he's had. And now there's a bonus tip at no extra charge. Become a Club Central expert. This is all the things you can do in Club Central. If you're a club officer and you're newer, you probably haven't been here this much. Did you know that any officer can renew a member? Did you know that you can have a club succession plan and you can have it registered right in here under Club Central? You can look at receipts when you have club financials. You can see the money you paid TI. You can add any officer can add or renew new members, create your club roster and print it out, send it around a meeting twice a year to make sure people's addresses, emails, and phone numbers haven't changed. When they change work locations or they change their job, sometimes their old email address from their old work is still on there. So make sure, I think I have on your update, somebody said club meeting information. I have that right here. So make sure you've got your meeting information. If it still shows that you're meeting at a restaurant and we're on Zoom, then that's a little confusing, especially as we start rolling back in. Make sure you got it's only supposed to be 1 second. And let me know if you need anything, you want to contact me, feel free. Link with me on LinkedIn. I love to get LinkedIn links. I've got over 7,500 right now. So link in with me. Let me know if there's anything I can help you with. I am very happy to have shared my favorite tips and tricks with all of you. All right. Oops, I'm trying to.
Thank you, Lori. My goodness, we have a wealth of information there that can be so useful to all the clubs out here. Club officers and area directors, pass this along. I have a little fun game for everyone. Not a game. We have some Zoom polls. We're going to do a little Q&A here with you, and I would like you to try to answer these 6 easy questions to the best of your ability. If there's one answer that isn't exactly a great fit, choose the best one possible. And then we're going to play a little prize raffle for the first 6 people to come in with a new, unique tip for clubs to thrive with. And those 6 first people in with a new tip will be given a copy of the 25 Ways to Make Your Good Club Great book by Cindy Carpenter. And that is, believe me, an excellent book. So, on to the poll, shall we? Who's out there? You only have a little bit to answer this, so let's give it about another few more minutes and I'll share with you who's in our audience today. Okay, we've got about 50% have voted, 70% have voted. All right, you guys are good at this voting. First Zoom Zoom poll confused me, but all right, I've got 95% of the answers. So would you like to see who's in our audience? I think most of you are club officers of either a thriving club or a not yet thriving club, I'll say. But we've got a good mix, pretty well spread out. So the next, let's see, I'll close this poll and move on to the second poll. What's the best thing about your club? Ooh. Okay, coming in. Getting a little faster this time, almost done. All right, looks like we've got 95% have voted.
Nice.
So 20 out of 20 have voted. So let's see, I'll end polling and share results. And look at that. We have a whopping 50% of the clubs believe that their best strength is the supportive and encouraging feedback that we receive. That's a good one. I think we have some room to incorporate some new and fun ideas at every meeting, though, it looks like. So next poll. I just do relaunch polling? No. I want to continue. I'm going to cancel. All right. We're on to, oh goodness, don't make me do this all over again.
I launched the poll.
Oh, you did it. Okay, so this
it.
is, oh, it is. Okay, I got it. Yes, it is a new question. It confused me that it says question 1 again. Right. All right, so I don't have to touch anything. You're driving this one. Okay, I'll just stay away from the buttons. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I hear you. I mean, this is a glass half empty kind of a question, but I think we've acknowledged that, you know, it is a little challenging this year and a lot of clubs have felt it, but it's only one side of the story. The members seem to overwhelmingly prefer face-to-face meetings. Okay, I get you on that one, but let's go on to the next question because this is kind of a two-parter. This is the glass half empty. Let's look at the glass half full a little bit because some of you really strong and thriving clubs have figured a way to make this work to your advantage. This pandemic year has offered a few things that are positives. All right. Okay, so you're seeing some people are coming in with fresh new ideas, a few of you, or one of you, and you're mastering those online meetings. That's a good skill to know. And then adding members from out of the area and, you know, several things are positives. Great. Maybe just 3 more questions? No, 2 more questions. So number 5, how are we doing on our distinguished club program goals? Are we on track in all the clubs? Okay, remember 5 or better is distinguished. So, well, that's great. I think it looks like most of you, 90% are are either a maybe or a yes that you're on track. So a maybe can certainly turn into a yes after the ideas from this meeting. And the last question is, we got several presenters on the panel that will follow this, and I hope you'll be interested in what they have to tell us. I know you will. Oh, interesting. We we have the same answer on the last one. The last question, the last answer was just a little humor. At least I thought it was funny. Is I'm just here for the free food. All right. Uh, a lot of people, and I knew this would be the case. I think a lot of you want to hear about how can we prepare for the future with the hybrid meetings. So that will be our panelist number 4. So looking forward to that one. Please put in the chat a tip that you have not heard yet that is unique that your club has to share with other clubs who want to add members. The top 6 people will win the book, and we'll announce those names at the conclusion of the meeting. We are right on time to begin our panel, and you can still keep putting your ideas in the chat. But I am thrilled to introduce our first panelist, Brenda Scher. Now, Brenda Scher is a Toastmaster for only about 4 years, Brenda, is that right? And she has
Yes.
served many club officer roles, right from day one as a Toastmaster. I believe she came in as a VPE and then became president. She was the 2019-2020 Area A3 Director, and currently Brenda is the president of 2 very thriving clubs. Second stage, she is the club president. Actually, that's an advanced Toastmasters club. And she's also VP of membership for the Marketplace Toastmasters and Le Gourmet. So the Marketplace Toastmasters specifically has gone from a club in jeopardy about 4 years ago and has been President's Distinguished every year since. Brenda considers the role of VP of membership as a key to the success of this club because it's one of the most important roles for this community club. And Brenda works in her time away from Toastmasters for the Orange County Social Services, an essential employee making sure that those most at risk continue to receive the services that they need. Please welcome Brenda Scher with her topic today on engaging guests, turning them into members in community clubs. Welcome, Brenda.
Thank you, Kathy. Community clubs are a unique animal.
Second email address. Okay.
Sorry, I'll start over again. Community clubs are very unique in the sense that a potential guest could join a number of clubs. So, how do you make your club stand out? And I think it starts from the very beginning. So I want to take you on a journey from the prospective guest to the guest to the potential member to the member. And how do you keep them engaged that entire time? And how do you grow? And the marketplace has managed to do that successfully. So let's start at the very beginning. Somebody who's potentially interested in Toastmasters. How did they land on the marketplace? Well, part of it is the name. We have found that a lot of our guests that turn into members live in the community that we used to go to before the pandemic hit. So they're familiar with the marketplace name and it means something to them. So they have that connection to us. How do they find us? Because we have up to date information as a web, as a link. And that link gives them the information to our website, which is also up to date and encouraging people to check us out. So that's the potential guests. Now they've reached out to us. What does the marketplace do that I think every club should do? We respond sometimes within an hour to that potential guest. Now, think about you if you were looking at a club and you get one club that will respond maybe 2 weeks later, or the club that responds within the hour. Which one are you going to go with? The one that's responding and reaching out to you immediately and embracing you like a warm hug. That's the marketplace. We're reaching out to you. Come, check us out. We also give them a lot of valuable information when we reach out to them. So we're not just saying, hello, get back to me. We're letting them, we're being proactive. We're sending them out a welcome packet from the get go. Now, how many had a welcome packet when you met face to face, but have lost that welcome packet when you went virtual? I'm here to tell you that welcome packet is just as important virtually as it was when we met face to face. In fact, I think it's even more important virtually because you have to find that way to make that potential member feel connected, understand Toastmasters, and get who we are. Because believe it or not, there's still people who don't know who Toastmasters is. So that welcome packet is a tremendous thing. Also, following up with them, because sometimes they'll say, I can't make this meeting, but I can attend the next time. So it's always remembering to include that guest in the future meetings. So the marketplace just meets second and fourth Wednesdays in the month. So we have to make sure that they're clear on that. So we've now covered the potential guests. Now they're at the meeting. So when they get to the meeting, how many of you love to chit chat among the members? Do you stop immediately if there's a guest? In order to really embrace that guest, we have to acknowledge the guest who's coming in and really engage with them. And so bring them into the fold, have them find out a little bit more. And one of the other things that I think is a tip, and I don't know if somebody has already shared this tip, is meet 15 minutes before the meeting begins and 15 minutes after, and really try to have that carve out that time. If there is a guest at that meeting, make it about them, because you do want them to feel like they are part of your Toastmasters family. So make it about them because the other members that you talk to on a regular basis, guess what? You can talk to them on another day or another time. But that guest, if you don't engage with them, you've lost them. The other beauty of the marketplace is we have such diversity. So if somebody doesn't connect with me or one of the other members, we have other members that they can feel that connection. And I have seen our members sharing stories immediately with somebody else. So they have that connection to somebody. Now, we've got them at the meeting. We're going to make sure that if they're interested in joining, and yes, Lori, we do ask them, are you interested in joining the meeting? And we get that feedback right away. And some of them come back. Yes. Some of them say, I'd like to check it out again. And we're okay with that. What we want is the ones that say yes. We haven't even gotten their application form. But guess what? We're giving them some small roles that they can fill so that they're already feeling like they are part of this community club. They are there. They are now an active participant in the club. So think about the roles that don't require a lot of knowledge. The balloteer. Most anybody can do that job. That's a wonderful role to start somebody out with. And it's as important of a role as the Toastmaster. So get them engaged from day one. And that leads to the next part that I think the marketplace has started to deliver and has soared us over the top. Because we've actually heard this from our new members. We have developed a mentorship program that is not just an informal one, it is now a formal mentorship program. We have looked at all of our seasoned members and have assigned them a mentor. We try to match the guest or now new member with a mentor. So if they have somebody specific in mind, we try to make that work. If they're open, we try to match what we think is going to be a good fit for the two together. And it really is about both connecting. I happen to have two newer members as I'm mentoring currently. One just started their journey, and the other is almost completed with level one. So you can see you can do both at the same time. And a couple of people here in the Zoom meeting here tonight also are mentors at the marketplace. We recently held, and I would love to see in the chat, has anybody held a group mentorship meeting? We had 5 new members and we invited them to a separate Zoom meeting just for mentorship. They felt connected to each other. So keep in mind that these potential guests that turn into members connect with each other. And that's a good thing because they're all at the same level in the journey. So you don't want that feel that disparity of, oh, we've got somebody who's a triple DTM. I'm just beginning with my icebreaker speech. I don't think I can handle it. They've got each other. So the mentorship program, I think, is critical for the community club. Now, you've got them as a member. What I would encourage, and I know we've done, is get them engaged immediately, not just with the role, but get them to do their icebreaker immediately. We've already provided in the welcome packet the icebreaker speech. The mentor will work with them to allay their fears if they have any. Get them on that journey, because the ones that we have found that start right away, guess what? They overcome that fear, and it boosts their morale, their enthusiasm, the energy, and they pay it forward to the next new member by sharing that they survived and thrived. So, back to the journey, you want to think about every stage in the community club, and you don't want to lose them anywhere along the journey. Each step in the journey is important as the first step to the last step. And I think that is how I know. I don't think, I know that's why the marketplace is now President's Distinguished again this year already. Back to you, Miss Kathy Hughes.
Thank you, Brenda. I'm really inspired, and it sounds so easy. And yet, I think a lot of people learn something from these tips and tricks of how to make a corporate club a thriving and a club that makes members clamor to join. That's an exciting thing.
Thank you.
Our next speaker today is Iris Liu. And Iris is here today to tell a different side of the story about the journey of membership growth in an open corporate club. It's a different dimension there. Iris Liu joined Toastmasters in 2013, and she's served various club officer roles since then in a couple of different clubs. And she's currently the VP of membership in Broadly Speaking Toastmasters Club, which is an open corporate club of Broadcom located in Irvine. Today, Iris will share with you her journey to grow the membership from 16. It dropped a bit, but they were able to increase it dramatically up to 24 members in the middle of this challenging pandemic situation. So here to tell us about a journey of membership growth in an open corporate club, please help me give a warm welcome to Iris Liu. Iris Liu.
Thank you, Kathy, for your introduction. And I will share my screen. Can you all see my screen right now? Okay, great.
It's not in presentation mode yet. It's in the, we're seeing the multiple screens.
It's the multiple screen.
I mean, it's in the presentation mode where it shows the next slide.
Iris, if you're at the bottom of the PowerPoint deck, there's a little thing that looks like an open book like this. That's one you should click on, because it just gives us your slide and not all your upcoming slides. Because don't they're at the bottom, don't click the far right one, click the one next to it that looks like an open book.
Mm-hmm.
In PowerPoint mode. Yeah, try it again. You're not sharing your screen. All right.
The far one, that's this one, slideshow, right?
Not the far one, the one next to that one.
One next to that one.
Yeah. It looks like an open book. It looks like a book.
Okay.
Try that one.
Can you see that right now, the screen?
No, you're not sharing. You have to reshare.
Oh, reshare. Sorry.
It's okay.
And the show.
The club name if you're only in one.
Stop sharing. Do I need to reshare it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
the screen.
reshare it and then just click that little book.
Okay.
We should have
This
practiced this.
one, and then this one, right?
You're not sharing your screen.
Sharing? Okay.
There you go. Perfect.
Okay. Okay.
That's
Great.
it. Okay,
Thank you.
sure.
Thank you. Do you know that a Toastmasters club is most beneficial to its members when it has 20 plus members? It gives us a diverse group to both lead and speak. And we need to promote membership growth to offset the membership attrition. According to the Toastmaster International statistical report, the average retention rate is about 53.9% in last year. That means we're losing more than 40% of our members during the year. The 4 key reasons for members not renewing their membership are time constraint, personal issues, new interest, and relocation. Our club also suffering from the membership loss. In last year, our active members dropped from 20 to 16, while the in-person meetings is replaced by online meetings due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In the same time, most clubs in the district are also struggling to recruit new members, so it's hard for us to fish for the fish in the ocean in the same time. Starting from day one, we set membership growth as one of the priorities for our club. And after 9 months of continuous efforts, we finally grow our membership by 8. We add 8 new members to our group, and those are all external members. It increased the diversity of our club. And I also would like to share an interesting statistical point with you. As shown by this pie chart on the right side, you can see only 2 of those members come from local area, while 6 of them come from other areas. That providing us an insight. Actually, the online meeting format can help you to expanding the influence circle of your club and attract potential members across the world. But how? You may ask this question. No worries. I will share with you the steps that we have took through this journey as a basis for you. And then I will share the lessons that I learned through this journey, so you will get better prepared to execute your plan to grow your membership. Starting from day one, in addition to the club officers and executive committees, our club also formed an educational committee led by the VP of Education, Frank Chan, and another public relation and a membership committee led by Chaitanya and me. In Reflect, it is the teamwork among these 3 committees that we synchronize all the efforts together to achieving the common goal, membership retention and growth that help us to achieving the final results. The first strategy that we have is to focus on improving the quality of our meetings and the member experience. Our educational committee initialized and executed on the ideas of adding themed meeting to promote the cultural diversity. In addition to the American holidays, we also celebrating important holidays for other cultures like Diwali, Lunar New Year, Nowruz. It not only promotes the cultural diversity, it also helps us to attract guests of different cultural background. And you can see those three interesting posters from our Halloween, Lunar New Year, and the Nowruz poster. In addition to that, our PR and the membership committee also add social events as a complementary meetings to strengthen the relationship between members in an informal setting. We're also starting to add valuable workshops to providing a learning opportunity from external professional speakers to enhance the learning experience of our members and the guests. Here I showed the 10-year anniversary social events and a poster for our 2 recent workshops. They are really effective to attract guests and providing them a really good feeling about experience in our club. Our second strategy is to promote our club through social media presence and open house. Our VP of Education, Frank, and VP PR, Chaitanya, take the responsibility to make sure that our club website are always reflecting the updated information of future meetings and events arrangement, so that it attracts more than 40 guests in the past year. Our VP PR, Chaitanya, also launched the Broad Speaking Toastmasters Club Meetup account. It helped us to attract external guests. And more importantly, we all work together to organize the very successful open house to attract new members. We have more than 50 guests registered for the open house. 21 showed up in the open house, and we turned 7 of them into new members in the following weeks. And here are the club website and our meetup account, how it looks up, and the poster for our open house. Our third strategy is to improve our interaction with guests and the prospective members. Throughout trial and error, we finally figured out the right procedure. When the guest first contact us through email, we will send a welcome letter from our club president, Prashant, and the application form to the guest, as well as the introduction of our club and the meeting links. When they showed up in our first meeting, we will have club officers and the members who are available to chat with the guests at the end of each meeting to understand their personal needs and build a rapport and get feedback. We also actively track in the meeting attendance of each guest, so we know who attended more of those meetings, and they are good candidates for potential new members. And we send welcome package as a follow-up to each of the guests. When the new member join us, our VP of Education will hold an orientation session with them, and then also starting them through a mentor program so that they can jumpstart on the pathway program. We also conduct survey regularly to get feedback for the future improvement. So you see, it really takes a whole club effort to retain and grow our membership. And I will share with you the 3 key lessons that I have learned through this journey. The first lesson is be persistent in pursuing the goal. In the first 6 months, we have put in great efforts in adding the same meeting, adding the social events. However, we only get 18 guests, and none of them joined our club. But we didn't give up. Instead, we take a step back and thinking about our process and make a justification to it. What we found is most guests also only showed up in the first meeting and they never come back. So we started to ask our club officers and members to stay at the end of the meeting to chat with the guests, understand their needs, and also build up a rapport relationship with them. It turns out to be a good strategy. Most guests will come back for a second or third visit. We also noticed that guests tend to attending our regular meeting more than our social events. So we're starting to add in workshops, which will offer a special learning opportunity for them from professional speakers. This helped us to attract more guests and also successfully turn some of those into our members. So you see, it is okay that you may not see immediate results from your initial efforts. You just need to stick there and keep improving your process until finally everything kicks in and you're achieving your membership goal. The second lesson is to be flexible and adaptive. When we had our open house, there was a conflict between the date of our open house and the Lunar New Year Assembly meeting. At the very beginning, we are concerned that due to the delay of our open house, it might impact how effective our newsletter will be, and the next guest will show up. So we put more effort to create a momentum by promoting both the Lunar New Year Assembly meeting, the speech contest, and the open house and the workshop. Finally, all those energies sync up, and we acquired 8 members through it. The last lessons I would like to share is to promote teamwork and leverage members' strengths. We have members who has extensive project management skills. So we have Lauren and Lucy serve as the host for our open house and the similar meeting. They using their strengths in the project management to create extensive spreadsheet and keep tracking each step of the open house and the meetings, and then make sure every task are covered by our supporting members. So you see, working with your team and understand the strengths of each your team members and create opportunity for them to play their strengths in a fitted role, then you will have undefeatable team. Thanks for your time and efforts. I hope that you can pick up some tips from my sharing to grow your membership, and I'm looking forward to hear your sharing in future workshops. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Iris. What a fabulous slide deck that you put together to share all of that experience of 9 months of working as a committee to improve the membership, and wildly successful with adding 8 new members and 10 DCP goals. Nice job. Our next speaker today, I'm very excited to welcome, will be giving us a little bit of a different viewpoint, and his project that he's going to be presenting for us is taking ownership, but it's worth it. Aaron Darling. Aaron takes great pleasure in seeing and helping people, teams and organizations develop to be the best version of themselves. Aaron has been a member of Toastmasters since 2010, and during those 10 years, he's visited over 100 clubs as he traveled throughout the continental United States. He has chartered 2 clubs, and he looks forward to fostering the help of many more. That's great, Aaron. Looking forward to that help. Please help me welcome Aaron Darling.
Hello, everybody. I first off wanted to start sharing about Emulex, which was a corporate club and was my first club. After joining that club in 2010, I got promoted twice within the next 4 years. Wasn't expecting that, wasn't planning for that, but that's what happened. And then when I left that club, left that company to move back to down by San Diego where I lived at the time, I got hired on with another company that had 13 different buildings within their organization. And seeing how Emulex had only 3 buildings and they didn't communicate with each other very well before Toastmasters, and seeing how well it fostered not only communications, but also the working with each other and the teamwork that it fostered within that company, I started one at the company I worked at down in San Diego. excuse me, there was a lot of pushback. The training and development people told me to cease and desist. That was their job, and they did not want a Toastmasters club started there. And I ignored them. Still had an open house, and this was all during the traditional curriculum, which when I finished my CC, I bought all of the advanced communication manuals so that when I would set up a pop-up tent in our cafeteria area, I would lay out all of the magazines so that they could see what was coming up or what they had opportunities to learn in. It took just over 4 months to get 20 people into a meeting. And it was actually the CEO in his last briefing that helped me get the people in the club, because I had just over 20 show up on Thursday. The next Wednesday was our CEO's brief. And then they all came back on Thursday and realized what poor communication skills our executives had. And they realized a lot of them had those same problems. And Toastmasters was the way for them to work on that. The key tool for me to use to get everybody involved was an opportunity matrix. And Cindy Liebeck had started that at Emulex. It was basically a spreadsheet that had all of the roles listed on one side, and then you just fill in the names. And you get, because you could copy and paste, you could actually fill out 6 months in under half an hour. And I would assign all 13 roles to people so that they couldn't say, oh, I didn't know I had a speech this week, or oh, I wish I had more speaking opportunities. And it's a lot easier to replace 1 or 2 roles every week if you have the opportunity matrix than it is to fill all 13 for the next week. And that really helped us be organized and keep people involved. I continued to have the monthly open house where I would set up my pop-up tent, bring out my manuals, and host everything there, answer questions if they had them. If they didn't, I would still reach out, say hi. Instead of standing behind the table where they could see all the brochures and whatnot, you stand on the front side so you can shake their hand and greet them back when it was safe. Apparently that's not safe anymore from what I hear. After the people came through, I had an interest packet as well as a new members packet. And inside the new interest packet, I had a list of all of the projects that they had, a membership profile so that they could tell us what areas they wanted to work on, where they wanted to focus, and how often they thought they could attend meetings. When pathways came up, that became a lot easier, because if you haven't noticed, the first 4 speeches in all the projects are exactly the same. So I would print all 4 of those out, have those in the packet, along with the membership application that was completely filled out except for their name and their address. So they didn't need to look up the club, they didn't need to look up numbers. There was no confusion for them when they picked it up: name, address, and how you wanted to pay, if you were going to pay. Because we were a corporate club, I could even fill that part in because they didn't have to. The corporation paid for it. After they got involved, I moved us onto Easy Speak, which is an online platform that helped me track where people were and what speeches they had. I don't know if Free Toast Host has this built in, but I could click on a person's name as the VPE or the president, and I could actually see when they gave their speeches, how often they spoke, and where they were on their communications and leadership tracks, as well as pathways once pathways got involved. And it really helped us to send out an email literally 10 minutes after the meeting. I would have it queued up and ask people to accept or decline whatever opportunity they had been assigned for the next week. And because they were already assigned 6 months out, I only probably had to replace one person on average per week. And that really helped us out. That club, since leaving, has been President's Distinguished every year since. I don't know if I was holding them back or not, but I can't argue with the statistics. Now, the first 2 years, though, I also had full ownership because nobody wanted to take on any of the officers' roles. So I literally fulfilled every single role for 2 years straight. But then common sense kicked in, and I thought, if I get run over by a bus, who's going to help lead the club? So then I started having committee meetings every month so that people could see what needed to be done every month and help them to get ownership and try and get buy-in for other people to step up just in case. When COVID hit, everybody went virtual except for this club. They continued to meet in person. Because they wouldn't let them meet on site, they actually went off site and continued to meet out in a parking lot. They had socially distanced themselves. They had chairs out. They no longer shook hands. You didn't present at the front. They would stand up in front of their chair, and everybody would turn their chair to face the person who was speaking. In the beginning, it was very awkward. But as you did it longer, people accepted it, and it worked really well. It was open in the beginning for people outside of the company. I want to say for 3 years we ran it that way. And then the 4th year, they decided to close it because they were getting they were getting more people from outside the company than in the company. And they wanted to take ownership of it at the HR level, which was outstanding because they already told me I shouldn't be having the meetings. And HR took over, started helping the people in the meetings develop their program management skills and to help them present at the meetings what they had to present to try and get their projects passed. I also, during that time, put 2 bullets into 2 clubs that were meeting that were unhealthy clubs. And actually, I didn't put a bullet in them. I encouraged them to merge with another club that met at a similar time because both of them independently did not work well. There wasn't enough people. They didn't have enough buy-in. So they would close one club, but all those members would merge into another one. And both of those clubs are now thriving. I saw how Toastmasters helped me at my first company. And that's why I've continued to have it for the 10 years that I've been a member. And I plan on continuing that. The broadly speaking, where at one of the clubs where I'm a member now was my original club. And I continue to be a part of that club now. And I'm thankful for the friendships that I've developed. And not only on the business side, but on the personal side, because you run into people all over the place. And that was the extent of what I had. I have plenty of tools to use and some best practices, but I figured we'd have a Q&A session and see if anybody had any questions. And there's my green light, yes.
Thank you so much, Aaron, for sharing that. And that really is an amazing journey of a corporate club that was successful, taking what you learned, translating it to a brand new club, and all of that leadership journey. I truly believe demonstrating the leadership in Toastmasters to a new group of people gets them engaged and helps them to become better leaders and be more invested in the success of their club. Our next speaker, I know we've all been looking forward to hearing from. Barbara Stickler is amazing. And the Achievers Toastmasters Club, as you've heard, has a record that I have never heard of before. 23 years consecutive President's Distinguished Club. I've heard Norm Stein mention that Achievers doesn't know how not to be President's Distinguished. Barbara was the president of the Achievers Club 9331 when the pandemic struck and our world went virtual. Forced into an online world, she started seeing the benefits of meeting online. For an HPL project, she looked into and tested a hybrid club meeting. And let me say that successful clubs plan ahead for the future. Please help me welcome Barbara Stickler, who's going to tell us the pros and cons of hybrid meetings. Welcome, Barbara.
Thank you, Kathy, and good evening, everyone. As we said, about a year ago, we had to go online. And as a club, we tested several different platforms and wound up on Zoom. So if you hear me say Zoom tonight, it just means any online platform. But we went online right away, and I was fortunate enough to see the notice that a club in New York that is online only was inviting guests to attend to see how it worked when the pandemic started. And they mentioned briefly about hybrid meetings and that it was a whole different scenario if you wanted to go hybrid. Well, when we went online, we had 5 members that chose not to come online with us. So we immediately started thinking about membership and what our membership was going to look like at the October 1st dues deadline. We already had all our members signed up before the pandemic hit, so we weren't worried about April 1st. And the more meetings we had, the more we started thinking about what a benefit an online meeting or a virtual meeting could be. Some of the pros we came up with were already covered. I believe Iris has members from outside of her jurisdiction, she said. And that's one of the things we looked at. We can draw members from anywhere in the country or the world. We meet at 7 a.m. every Thursday morning. Unless you live and work in the area, it takes true dedication to show up at a club meeting. So we can expand our base for our membership by having an online presence. There's occasionally scheduling conflicts. Our meeting ends at 8:30, you have an appointment at 9, and geographically you can't get from one to the other. But if you're online for the Achieve meeting, you can easily get to your other appointments. So then that member isn't canceling, but they're still able to fully participate. And the same thing goes for waking up tired, sick, not feeling well, and you need that extra hour of sleep. You can roll over and log in at the appropriate meeting time instead of having to cancel at the last minute. And then you're scrambling to find a speaker or a player because that one was unable to attend. For my HPL, I thought I would look into hybrid meetings and see what we would need to do to conduct one. Now, John Hardowitz, who is online, was one of my committee members, and thankfully he and John Muse, my other member, are a little more technology geeks than I am, because they were very helpful in getting all of the connection done for our process. I figured out that the minimum I thought we would need for a club meeting was a computer, good Wi-Fi, a speaker, microphone, projector, and a camera. When you're at the meeting, you're going to log in on your computer to the Zoom meeting. We then hooked that to a projector and projected it on a wall off to the side so everyone in person could see those that are online. You want to make sure everyone feels connected and they're actually part of a meeting. Let's be honest, we've all been on telecons where you're technically hybrid. Some people are in the office and some aren't. But you wind up talking over each other. And those that are on the phone don't necessarily feel included. So we wanted to make sure that all of the members in the room could see those that were online. We had a camera pointed at the speaker so that those that were online could see who in the meeting was actually speaking. Then there was the sound issue. So we had a speaker. We used a karaoke machine and had that plugged into the computer so that those online could be heard by everybody who was live in the meeting. A microphone was necessary so that the reverse was true. Those online could easily hear the person that was speaking in person. Now, you can certainly get more detailed than that. You could have a second computer and a second camera and have that focused on the in-person audience entirely. So those that are online can constantly see the audience. We were trying to do this at the minimal amount that might be needed. So we have the camera on a tripod and we can switch it to the audience when the member who is speaking is online. Granted, they're a little small in that box, but they could still see the people that are in the room. We did a trial run one Thursday afternoon, and several of our members were kind enough to join in, and it worked perfectly. Don't the trial runs always work perfectly? So we went all in and scheduled last July's installation meeting to be our first hybrid meeting. It didn't go quite as smoothly. First, we had a Wi-Fi issue. We knew the Wi-Fi was tenuous in our meeting hall, and that was the morning it decided not to broadcast. Don't ask me why. No one else is up at 7 a.m. in that building, but it chose not to work. So after playing with that, we wound up going with my phone's hotspot. But then we were a little late getting set up. Of course, the sound didn't work as perfectly as it did at the trial run. And as I say, with all technical equipment issues, check your connections. I thought I had, but I did not unplug and replug everything in, so the microphone wasn't fully seated into the computer. Of course, we figured that as soon as the meeting was over. Now, that was our first and only experience with a hybrid meeting so far, because we wanted to stay within the CDC guidelines and not have another hybrid meeting until the pandemic has ended. But that meeting showed us a few negatives of having a hybrid meeting. First is obviously the equipment you need. Our club already owns some of it, and we borrowed my computer for the hybrid meeting. But if I'm not there and you need to use someone else's computer, every computer has a different port. I already owned connectors so that my USB-C could connect to a projector. Someone may not have that small port in their computer that's replacing it. And then what do? You have nowhere to hook your projector up to. So whether you buy all of your equipment or try to borrow, that's an issue you're going to have. Where do you store your equipment? Does it go back and forth in the Sergeant of Arms car? Or do you have a nice locked location where it will be secure between meetings? Setup time. The day of our hybrid meeting, we gave ourselves a half hour to set up. I think without the Wi-Fi difficulties, that could be regular at the most a half hour setup, but that certainly adds time to getting ready for your meeting. Obviously, a corporate club that's meeting at their lunch hour, that's not going to, you would need to find a different way to get that done. And while every online meeting has a host to let people in, mute them as necessary, we're thinking that because part of our club is actually online still, we're going to need someone seated in front of the computer to actually keep an eye on the chat window and make sure that's running smooth. And since we don't want that person disenfranchised every week, we're going to have to train others to take that monitor position. Now, Lori mentioned club culture, and Iris did as well. We've worked hard to build a culture within our club, and that's our biggest concern. We don't want to lose that. We've had outings. We've gone to the track and played the ponies. We've gone to concerts. We've made it to the point where even if you don't have a speaking role, you want to be there to support the other club members. It's important for you to be there. And we also have a potluck. It is 7 a.m. You need breakfast. So a couple of members are assigned every week to bring food. And so that's one of our bigger concerns because we would hate to have a guest come to a meeting and there's 3 people in the meeting hall and 20 online. What kind of impression does that make? So right now we've agreed to have an online presence till at least September 30th. We have 1 member from Rhode Island and 2 from Texas right now. So when the dues period came up, we made that commitment. We're hoping to go in person in June or July so that we can practice with hybrid meetings for a couple of months before we have to decide for the October dues period. So that was my experience with a hybrid meeting. Now, I know Founders District sent out an email this morning. One of those was an invite to the Newport Center Toastmasters Club. They're doing a hybrid meeting Monday morning, and they've invited guests to be either in person or online. So look for that email if you didn't see it this morning. And if you're really interested, register to attend the meeting. Back to you, Kathy.
Thank you, Barbara. That was an interesting journey that you took through for your HPL project, and what a great HPL project that is. Before we head into the Q&A session, I would like to welcome to the stage our own Club Growth Director, Ken Spears, to give us
just a little tips and tricks, if you will.
Tips and tricks.
Kathy, you're doing a great job. Your presenters are phenomenal. The information is stunning, absolutely stunning. Before I talk about the thing I'm really going to talk about, we are going to have 1 or 2 hybrid meeting full-on hour seminars coming up very, very soon. Stay tuned. It'll be happening. It's already in the works. That's happening. But I wanted to say this. Everybody's talked about all the wonderful ways to retain members, make members engaged in the club, make the clubs work more efficiently, and that's great, but no one has said these 2 things. Number 1, all members of a club are in a family, and that family needs to be engaged 100% in making that club thrive. If they don't, if any member is not working towards that goal, the club is not going to be as successful as they can be. Everyone must be engaged. If you're on Meetup and you want to attract members, every member needs to sign up on Meetup every week to make sure you're at the top of the list and not buried underneath. As an example, you must be fully engaged. And as members are engaged, I want to put it out to everybody on this meeting. If you're a club member, you should ask a minimum of 3 people a week to come to your meeting. If you have 20 people in your club, that's 60 potential members coming in every week. Potential, not everyone's going to do it. But that's a huge number. And if you think about the percentage of adding 2 or 3 people a week or a month, you have a much greater odds of doing that if everybody is engaged in asking. Now, yes, you post things online, you do things on the internet, you have to do all of that. But the real down and dirty work is the human touch of asking somebody to join. You ask them, you invite them, they feel they have a connection with you, the club member, and they'll want to come and see what you're talking about. You can do it online, you can do it in person, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're in a corporate club or a community club, because you can ask your coworkers or your friends, depending on the situation, but just have that personal touch and ask them to come to a meeting. And then use all the tips and tricks you heard tonight. They come to the meeting, they're going to have a great time, and you'll take that membership form I put in the chat, you're going to give it to them, they're going to sign up, and you too will have a thriving club. Kathy, back to you.
Thank you, Ken. Before you drop off, do we have the 6 first in with the?
Oh, I will give that to you in a minute.
Okay, then we'll go to Q&A and we'll come back to you. If anyone has a question, you can put it in the chat to a specific speaker, or you can ask to unmute and we can do it audio. Either way works. So I'll be watching the chat, and please indicate which of our presenters, whether it be Lori or Brenda or Iris or Erin or Barbara. All right.
Sylvia has her hand up.
Oh,
While you're reading,
your hand,
Kathy, I'll fill the space. I just wanted to say to Barbara, I attended that meeting and I came in late. I did an installation on Zoom, my first one, and they had gone through all that rigmarole in the beginning. And so I experienced it, and I want to just give Barbara a big hand because she took on a monster project with that. And now that we learn more about the equipment and the people you have to have on your team to really have a successful hybrid meeting, the more I appreciate you, Barbara. Good job for being a pioneer.
I remembered you there. It was an interesting meeting.
absolutely. That is something I wish I had been able to attend, and I maybe will again one day.
I don't have a question for a presenter, but I do have a tip. If your club is hosting an open house, reach out to me and I'll drop my email in chat and I can post it to the Founders District Facebook page to get it a little bit more visibility for you. And if you don't have a flyer, let me know. I have some templates that we can work together and get one created for you.
Thank you, Julie. All right, I don't see anybody raising their hand. I know it was an hour and a half long, and I appreciate everybody that stuck here through the whole thing. There was a lot of information shared, and I think that you've seen some of the attachments that went in the chat. Please do remember to save the chat because there are tips and tricks buried in there that are additional information that you'll want to have.
Kathy, I
Yeah.
am not so quick on the chat, but I'd like to say I'm a representative of Newport Center Toastmasters, and we are having our open house on this coming Monday. We've been doing the hybrid meeting just about since the inception of the COVID-19 experience, and we've been very fortunate in our club to have a member who has been with Microsoft for many years, and we created what is called hybrid meeting in the box. And we are featuring that, previewing it in our Monday morning meeting, doing it for quite a number of months. And we also have a keynote speaker who is one of the finalists from the 2019 Toastmasters International Contest. It's an open house, which means it is live and virtual simultaneously. And for those of you that are unfamiliar with our club was the one that had some incredible, incredible mentors and members for many years, Colette Gardner being one of them. And we've been President's Distinguished for 40 years. And we too have experienced the attrition that a lot of clubs have since COVID hit. And as a result of it, and thank God, because I have been a member for 10 years, it saddened me greatly to see that happening. And I just was fortunate that Zip Zyper, who is the technology side of this, was willing to dedicate his time, and we have for quite some time, to put together what we feel is ready to come out of the box. We call it hybrid in the box because he's actually created a vehicle for being compact and delivering it. So please, I put it in the chat. It is this Monday, 7 a.m. And
we saw it in Shiva also posted it earlier before you saw it, I guess.
So there's a registration. There's only so many people we'll take in the live venue, which is at Shape Up Health Club, which is actually my husband owns it. And we transform the Group X room. It's almost like a television set. And so we have live. We've got the healthy breakfast snacks and beverages to accompany that particular meeting. You can join live or in Zoom, but limited seating as far as Zoom goes. So please look in the chat here to see what the link is to register. And we're very excited because we're passionate about doing everything we can.
Christy, thank you. A lot of us need to go. So we got the message, we got your links and everything. So we appreciate that. But,
and thank you, Barbara, for mentioning us.
Yeah, Barbara is great. Thanks. So you got a lot of PR on that. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you
I have the
very much
winners
for
if you
that
want to know.
information. I know I'm registering for that.
I've been to that meeting. It's great. Do you want the winners?
Please, Ken, we want to know
L'Oreal
who won.
thought you were gonna
Jochman
do a
says
wheel
invite
spin.
friends. Sherry Horowitz says pick up the phone and use it to follow up with people after they've been to a meeting. Iris Lou says have workshops to help attract guests and special events. Gene Tankery says use round robin evaluations to keep members fully engaged. Doug Brenner says respond to guests immediately when they sign up and thank them for coming and giving them the information to get into the meeting. That's very important, a quick response. Lori Jacobs says have team rewards. That is, reward teams that bring in the most members in the club. And I thought those were all good ideas.
I think those are excellent ideas. And will we make this recording available to people that joined the meeting and others that would have liked to have joined the meeting?
Yes.
And how will we communicate that?
It'll be in the newsletter, and anybody who asks it'll be there. And Julie and I will work on that.
All right. Well, those names will be recorded and the books will be sent out to the wonderful 6 new tips and tricks. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you, Ken. Back to you to close us out.
Thank you, Kathy, for an excellent event. And if you have any questions about membership growth, there is a club growth team in the Founders District. We're here to help you. Let's make every meeting the best one it could be.
Good night, everyone.
So Kathy, how you feeling?
Good.
Good. I got to stop recording, don't I?